Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Hello. Oh, I saw something that it's the last day of fall today. Hello there. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. My name is Bella Ralston. And on behalf of Faber-Castell USA and Michael Stores, we thank everybody for being here this afternoon and joining us. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. If you were here last week, if you joined last week, I am sorry, I'm having some memory load. I didn't think we have a class today, but I'm so glad that we do because we get to spend some time and create today. All right, so in front of me, I have some journal. This is a black notebook journal and also just a regular marker pad in here. And then I do have some metallic markers from Faber-Castell. This is one of my favorites. This one has a 1.5 bullet tip. Because today's class, we're going to be doing some faux calligraphy. So it's kind of like a mono lettering, but then we're going to turn it into a faux calligraphy, kind of like those brush lettered, I think I have a sample in here because I was working earlier. So I was doing a little bit of some playing. This is a sample of brush calligraphy. So let's say, I don't know why this is not it's too bright. So there we go. So this is a perfect example of a brush lettering. Now, did you know that you can create this look by using a regular bullet tip pen? So that's what we're going to learn today is we're going to turn a regular, lettering and we're going to turn it into a brush lettered or a faux calligraphy like that. So I'd like to say hello to everybody first before we get started. Hello. Okay, I'm going to start from the top. Hi, Tina. Oh, Tina said it's the last day of fall. That's what I saw. Hi, Tracy. Hi, Linda. Hi, Kimberly. Hello, Kim. So we have some friends from Virginia, Chicago, Ohio, Florida. I love it. I love seeing where everybody's from. I am broadcasting live from Texas. It's a little chilly today. I don't think we're ever going to get cold here in Texas, but it's beautiful. It's beautiful outside. Hello, Taha. Hi, Miha. Hello. Hi, Michelle. Hello, everybody. Okay. All right. So, hi, Eliana. Okay. Oh, her name is Anaya. Very beautiful. What a beautiful name. Hi, LaBelle from California. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining in. Okay, so for this class, you don't have to have the same exact materials that I have in front of me. Now, if you have just a regular pen, a regular bullet tip, that's going to work. That's perfectly fine. We don't have a handout for this class because it's going to be very simple, really simple. Now, before we get started, we have two things to understand. To be able to achieve the brush lettered look, there's two things that we have to. It's funny because we're kind of learning brush lettering and then faux lettering at the same time. You know why? I'm going to just try and write something here. Let's say Christmas, because let's say holly. Okay, so it's short. Okay, I'm going to write first, and then I'm going to ask you a question. All right, holly. So can everybody see? I'm going to go zoom in just a little bit. Notice the letters, okay? So you're going to see that there are some areas that are thicker, right? So we have some thicker strokes. You're going to hear me say strokes and then also lines. So those are the two things. So some are thicker, some are thinner, right? So if we're going to try and do this with a regular lettering, I'm going to write it down now using just a regular fine point tip pen. Okay, so I'm going to write holly. Same thing. Also, I would like for you to pay attention how I am writing my letters. The way I am writing the letters, I'm writing them letter per letter. But to be honest with you, I'm writing them one stroke or one line after the other. So I go up and then I go down. Hand lettering and handwriting are two different things. Now, if I'm going to write holly, as I would, for example, I'm trying to just write something in my journal, or I'm trying to, um, I don't know, fill up a paperwork, I would write Holly this way. See, this is handwriting and this is hand lettered. What was the difference from how I did this and how I did the Holly below? This is our handwriting. This is our hand lettering. Handwriting, actually, especially script, is I am not lifting my pen from the paper. Notice that I wrote the word Holly in one stroke. It's almost like a one stroke because I didn't lift it and I was just writing. So that's handwriting. So when I hear people say, I don't think I can do that because I don't have a pretty handwriting, I'm with you. I don't have a pretty handwriting. So if I'm in a hurry, I was actually taking my time there. So it looks a little decent. Now, if I'm in a hurry and I would just write Holly, it's probably going to look that way, right? So the major thing that I would like for you to understand is when we're doing hand lettering, this is actually you're drawing your letters. So I want you to take your time and we're going to draw the letters. Notice how I said draw, because we're going to draw our letters one stroke or one letter at a time. Okay, so that's second one is notice how we talked about the brush lettering. There's some thicker parts and then thin parts. That's what you need to understand to do the faux calligraphy is when to apply, where to add the thick part and where to keep it thin, right? So in brush lettering, there are two things that we practice. When we're writing away from our body, this is called the upstroke. So if I would do an upstroke, this is it. I would write away from me, okay? So now when I go down or my downstroke, this is where I would apply some heavy pressure. Now, because I'm using a fine tip, you're not going to see that. Now I'm going to use the brush pen on the other side. Again, upstroke, this is where you're going to apply a very, very light pressure. And notice how I'm also going to use the tip of my brush pen. You might not have a brush pen right now, but I think it's important to really understand this as well. Because a lot of people think that if they buy a brush pen like this and they write how they would normally write, that it will look like this. I am with these kind of people. I am one of those. I bought the pen so excitedly and I said, my writing is going to look like that. It didn't. The brush pen is a tool. You know, who's doing it? You. And the two things you have to understand is this is what I'm going to teach you. So again, upstroke, this is where you're going to use the tip of the pen. And this is when you're going to apply very light pressure. Tip of the pen and applying light pressure, right? Now, downstroke is when you're writing towards your body, right? And this is where, look, notice how I'm switching my hand. Now, my pen is not upside down anymore. My wrist is over here. I have a very good grip on my brush pen. I'm also using a tripod method. Now, we all hold our pens differently. Some hold it like this, some hold it this way. You know, it doesn't matter how you're going to hold it, whichever way you're most comfortable at. But I think the thing that's most important is for you to understand that it's much better if you're going to rest your brush pen. This is what I call the cave of your hand. So notice how it's resting really well because my wrist is also very firm on my desk or my table. And this is the only movement, right? So you can also rest it here like this or right here, which again, it's personal preference. So as long as when you do your downstroke, you're going to tilt your pen slightly 45-degree angled from the paper, right? So it's not like this. You slightly hold it this way. And now you apply a little bit of pressure. Then you create that thick stroke, right? So let's do that again. Now I'm going to do the full stroke. It's kind of like a frown or an upside down U. Notice how I'm going to use, look how I'm holding my pen. And I'm going to apply light pressure. And I'm going to switch to create that thick stroke. Because if I do it just like this, I want you to pay attention to this, because I'm going to hold it upside down and I'm going to apply pressure. Even when you apply pressure, it's not going to look the same. It's not, and also you're hurting your brush pen. You know, you're going to ruin the tip of your brush, and it's just not going to create a beautiful thin stroke next time. So you want to avoid that. Okay, so now we understood that upstroke, very light or thin. So that's where you get your thin. Downstroke is going to be the thicker part. Now, if you look at Holly again, and sometimes I still do this, I have to mentally kind of like retrace how I've drawn my letters. So here I did an upstroke. This is an upstroke part. Now this, I went down. So this is my downstroke, right? So it just depends on how much space you have in between your letters. Some would tell you that you have to choose just one side of the line or the stroke of your letter. So they say if you want to add the extra stroke to your left, then keep it all to the left. But I'm going to be honest with you, in a real life scenario, it doesn't always happen that way, because it just depends on how much spacing. So understanding that it's going to depend on how much spacing you have in between your letters, then you want to be mindful of the way you spread out your letters, or the way you would write it or draw it, right? So I'm going to, this is my downstroke. I'll add my Holly here, or I'll add my thicker stroke here. Now I'm making this super thick just so we can easily see it on camera, right? So I'm not going to worry about thickening, adding more thickness to the other ones. I'm just going to keep it here first and go and retrace it again. I went upstroke here. And so this is my downstroke. So this is a perfect example. If I'm going to add my thicker stroke here, it's not going to look good. It's going to look really odd. So just pay attention. I have enough space here in between. So I'm just going to add an extra one here to my right and make this one much thicker. And then fill in that space right here. Just like that. Voila. Right? So now let's look at our letter O. I go up. This is my upstroke. And then I've written this down like this. This is the downstroke part. So we're going to add a little bit more here, just like that. And then we will fill it in. Hello, Monica. Welcome. Just like that. All right. So looking at this letter L, it's kind of looking a little funky right now. So, all right. I'm going to add, I think I'm going to add it to my left side, because I think I have enough space in here. So this one's upstroke. This is definitely my downstroke. So we'll add one extra line and then connect it down here is what we're going to do. We want to connect to that, right? And then we'll close this right here and then just fill in. Just like that. All right. And then we'll repeat the same. I think I'm going to add a little bit more to my right and my left, just to kind of balance it in. And then fill that in. Just like that. So this is an upstroke. We're going to add some here. I'm going to add on both sides. And I think this is what's important to see, and what's important to understand also, that, you know, sometimes other teachers, I'm not saying that this has happened all the time, we want to be so structured that we want to say, just keep one side and just add, you know, an extra line in there. But in real life is that it doesn't always happen. So I want you to see what I would do also, not just as a teacher, but as a creative like you, that sometimes we face some challenges along the way. And so I think that's very important to see. So I'm just going to fill this in right here. All right. And then here is upstroke like that. So now if you want to add a little bit of, look at this, this is an upstroke, but notice how I made this one thicker here, right? Because it's kind of like the end, or this is the first part and this is the end part. So your beginning stroke and your end stroke, I always kind of like add, it's like a flourish, but it's really not. I'm just going to add some weight to it or extra thickness to it. So just like this. So like that, we have our holly. The thing that's, why would you want to do a faux calligraphy if you can do it with a brush calligraphy? Because the real honest answer to that is that brush lettering is not easy. It gets frustrating. You know, the brush pen is such a fun tool, but it can get a little overwhelming. It takes a little bit, not a little bit, it takes a lot of patience to really get used to doing the upstroke and then, you know, adding your downstroke. With that being said, I want you to understand, for example, you're using a brush pen and you feel like you don't have an equal amount of thickness in each letter, then please do what we did here with our faux calligraphy. If we can do it with the faux calligraphy or the fake brush lettering, then you can do that with your lettering too. Go ahead and fix some that you feel like, here, for example, this is not thick enough for me. So what am I going to do? I did use a brush pen, but I can still go back in here and add some extra thickness to kind of match the ending of my letter Y. There you go. Now they're just equal and perfect, right? So, all right. Any questions before we get started with our thin and thick? I'm going to go switch. Now, I want to talk a little bit about our metallic pens. Our metallic pens, they will show up in both light paper and dark paper, which is pretty cool. And just flip that. And I will choose some here. Faux calligraphy really does, it's such a fun way because you can do the same thing with your just print letters. For example, write your letter in just the way you would normally write it, and then you can do the faux calligraphy where you will add some thickness, extra thickness to your letters. All right, no questions, let's go. Okay, I'm going to choose this beautiful color. This is Queen of the Marine. And then I want to have nothing else metals so that it will show up. We'll have gold, heart of gold, because why not? Okay, so why are some lines more thick and some lines are more thin? That is the style of the calligraphy. That's actually, calligraphy is an old style using the old nib. I don't have any example of the nibs that were used in the old time. So eventually it's just kind of like music, you know, they've upgraded. Now we have many different type of tools that we can use to mimic that look of the calligraphy. So now we have brush pens, and, you know, which is so much fun for us artists. Okay, so I want to do this here so that you can see that it will show up beautifully in a dark and a white. So I'm going to start with, all right. So write New Year. Just going to start it here. What I want to say is that I would like for you to please be mindful of your spacing, because understanding that we're going to add some extra thickness, allow some space for each letter. So that's just a sample because I want to show you what it looks like in a light paper. And then I want to show you what it looks like in a dark paper too. I love using dark paper when it comes to metallic markers. I feel like it just pops more. Like this. I wanted to show you how different they look against the black and against the white. Look how different that is. And I'm using the same marker. Exactly. I love, that's it. I still love my nibs as well. And I think it's like the feel of dipping your nibs in the ink. It's always fun, but my hands and my fingers and my poor desk, yeah, it just truly feels all the mess that I do. It's like I don't know why I can never create clean. I'm just always so messy. Exactly. Huge difference in different papers as well. Look at this. This is a dark navy blue, and this one, all you're gonna see is like that metallic silver. So it's so crazy. Let's try the other blue because I'm not sure it would be blue enough for the project I have in my head. This one's the same. I feel like the mica or the shimmer glitter is the one that shows up. This one has a little bit of that greenish tone to it. So this one is the ice blue, but the metallic is like a little gold green. So crazy. That's so different. Look how different that is. That is the color against the white. That is so cool. All right, so you guys choose which should we use? Should we use white or should we use the black notebook? Right. I don't know about you, but I love creating vision board. And next month, next year, I was going to say next year because it is next year. Next year, we're going to create some vision board in our bullet journal. So I'm super excited about that. So we have to practice our lettering because, if you do some bullet journaling, then I know that you enjoy doing some hand lettering too. So I have some sample hand lettering here because this is what I use this notebook for. Just practice and practice and practice. Okay. So this is going to be hard. We have black, we have white, we have black, we have white. Black paper, white paper. I feel like that the gold is going to show a bit more, or the silver. What do you guys think? All right. So the way we're going to write the new year, I want you to. Okay, I'm going to show this here so you have the sample because it's crazy how we all write very differently because each of us are very unique, so even the way we dress, even the way we speak, and it shows also with the way we do art, even the way we write. One thing that I want you to remember is what we talked about in the beginning is that when you're going to write the lettering is I want you to be mindful of stopping after each stroke. That's the only thing that I have seen many different, many of my students that is having a hard time because they don't lift their pen enough. Don't be afraid to lift your pen off the paper. Don't feel like you have to write it down at one writing. No, don't. Lift it every after letter. So let's try and write new again. So you can also do this style of letter N. So I'm going to show different samples so you can choose how you would like to write it. Now, this is the silver against the white. It's not very easy to see. See, notice that. This was one writing, and then I paused, and then I did my straight line second, right? And then I did this third. So that's three different strokes just for my letter N. 1, 2, 3, right? So don't do it like this. Okay, that's the only thing. All right, let's go. We're going to use a black. And I think I'm going to use the silver here. I think the silver is going to, ooh, it shows up so pretty. All right. Some winter doodles over there. All right. So I'm going to use both sides of my journal today because I want to write it big so you can see it well. All right, so let's write our letter N. Let's do that letter N. I really like that look. So we have happy. Let's start with happy new year. So we have one word on top, happy, and then new on the side, and then year. Now, if you're using a larger paper than I do, then you don't have to worry about that. I'm just kind of like pre-planning in my head the spacing here. And so that's why I'm just slowing down a little bit. All right. So if you need to use pencil first, please do so, which you know what? I think that's not a very bad idea, is what I'm going to do right now. I know it's black, but it's still going to show. It's kind of like a shimmery thing. I just want to make sure of my space. So don't mind me a little bit while I do this. See, I'm already making a mess. That did not show. That was an epic fail. I'm just going to write it down. I think I know where my H and then my A. All right, so let's write our letter H. I'm going to do it one step at a time so you can follow along. Scoop up like this. And then like that, kind of like with the letter N, right? Oh, I can see the pencil on the camera much better than in real life. All right, and then we're going to go down. And then I just added a little tail in there. And then we're going to copy that same stroke. Just like that. Oh, I got this one from Michael's. Let's see, it's just a black journal. All right. And then remember how we did this one? We're not going to do this swoop, but we're just going to do this. So I'm just going to go slightly down and then stop right there. You're most welcome. Yeah, there's no name. I'm sorry, darling. It just says journal. So maybe Nicole can help us find a black journal on Michael's. All right, so I'm trying to find my letter A, all right? So just write letter A. It's almost like a circle first, right? And then I stop right there. And then I add my tail right there. Now, because I have a gap, so I'm just trying to be careful. And all same. The more you do this, the more you're actually going to see that it's every single stroke is almost the same. So now we're going to do the letter P. Like this. So we're just going to do the same thing. Just like that. So these are your connecting lines, right? You can connect this one to here if you like, your letter H to the letter A, in case you missed that. Like that. And now the letter Y. It's like a letter U first. And then we're going to add the tail. Just like that. Right. I feel like I really want to use a blue, but the blue is not showing up so well. Let's see. I'm just going to try this one. Nope. Some color shows up better than the others. we can add these as like embellishments. I'm going to go for the gold. All right, so the letter N, remember how we did our letter N? New year. I'm going to try and make it fit. So it's the same thing I'm going to do with my letter N is the same thing that I did here for my letter H. I'm going to start with that first. Like that. Oh, why is my like this? I feel like I don't have enough ink in here. Oh, I've used it enough. Let me see if I can find a different gold. This one's new. Okay, this is better, right? That first. And then this. Like that. And then it's almost like an upside down U. But instead of just starting from the top, notice how I'm almost going to start in the middle of this line and I go up and then down, right? So I'm not going to go here. I'm almost going to start not really middle, almost like a quarter. So like this. And then I go up and then down and up again. All right. I'm just adding, I have used all my markers. It's not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing, right? Can do that later. So just letter E. This. So this is something that, you know, I think when you practice letters, for example, you buy a class and or you buy like lettering books, what happens is that you practice letter and letter and letter per letter, right? The drill. Now, the next problem you're going to face is how to connect those letters. And I would like for you to pay attention to how I am actually placing. So this is my end stroke or my connecting stroke to the next letter. So it's almost always extended because knowing that I'm going to connect it to the next letter. So you want to extend it a little bit more, and then you can start your next letter again. So this one we have W, which I am kind of scared a little bit. I hope I have enough place for my year. And this is why I should have used my pencil first. All right, we're just going to make it smaller. So W, but I'll stop right here in the middle and then add the other side of the W. I don't have to connect that. So just that. Oh man, I'm not going to have enough space, am I? Bye, Mary. Thank you so much for joining. Happy holidays. Right. So then letter Y is I'm going to start same as how I started my H and my letter N. This one, I'm stopping right here. Just like that. So I kind of go down, up, down again, and then up. Let's do that again. Down a little bit, swoop up, and then go down. It's kind of like a letter U. Right now, my letter Y. This time, I'm not going to connect my letter Y. I'm just going to make it roll like this. That really long. And do my E. I'm going to have to make this shorter because life is. Here we go. Connect it. Stop right there. Do this part and then do this part. I guess it was all right. Happy New Year. All right. Now we're going to have to add our thick parts. It's so pretty, but it's going to be even more prettier. I mean, it's already pretty as this is. This is called mono lettering, and it's gorgeous. It's clean. It's beautiful. I mean, you can stop right here and you have a very gorgeous piece of lettering. But today we're going to do some faux calligraphy. So we're going to add some thickness to this one. Let's have fun. All right. So we're going to worry about the end stroke later. Let's worry about the added extra thickness first. Again, mentally retrace it. I went up, and then this one I went down. So I'm going to add some extra stroke on the side. Now this time I'm going to be more mindful of how much stroke we have. So we have equal amount, and so that it will look more polished, just like that. And then close that in, and then just fill in that area. Just like that. Right. So here, so when your horizontal lines, that's thin also. So the upstroke and also horizontal. So also known as crossbars, kind of like, when you do the crossbar for your letter T, for your letter H, and all your connecting lines, they are also going to be thin, all right? So only the downstroke is going to be thick. And if your choice to also add that to the flourish on the end of each letter. All right, so here, this is where I want you to pay attention. Notice my distance of my letter H to my letter A. If I would add my extra thickness to my right side, I'm going to have a very, very small space in between. So this is where it's kind of like use your intuition, So this one, knowing that, look at the spacing. I'm not going to have enough space if I add my extra stroke on the right side. So I'm going to go back over here, go in here, and then I will add my extra stroke. All right. So notice how thick your first letter or your added extra stroke, and then just follow that, right? So that again, we have some equal amount, and then it will look very even and polished and very pretty. Just like that. Real life. Okay. Here, that's much better. Monica, that's how do you correct the mistake? If we used a pen, we're dead. We're gonna have to redo it again. That's the only way we can correct it. Now, if you use the pencil, then you can correct it. So that's why I don't know if you're always here in the class, but I always say this when we do classes, like, pencil and eraser is your best friend. It really, really is. Okay, so keep adding your extra strokes. Now I'm going to add my extra stroke inside my letter A because it's the same thing. If I add it to the left side, then I'm still going to have the same issue. I'm still going to have the same problem. I'm not going to have enough space in between my letter H and my letter A. All right. Okay, here we go. So add the extra over here, just like that. And then fill that part in. I just want to make sure that I have like very even strokes, so it look pretty. And then go here. Then add my extra stroke there and fill it in. Now, I guess I should have asked a bit further. When Monica, what do you mean when you say correct a mistake when writing the letters? Is it your spacing, or is it just the look of the letter? So I'm just adding some extra strokes in here. Yeah, both. Oh no. Did you use a marker already? No, I don't like it when that happens. And notice that's why I have a lot of this, because it's kind of like, oh, I don't have enough space. Oh, so you just kind of like have to write it again. I'm sorry. All right, so this one I did an upstroke. So this is where we're going to add the thickness to the kind of like the belly of the letter P. We're going to worry about everything else later. Now here, I feel like I have enough space on the outside in between of my P and my Y, so I can add my extra weight outside this one. So that's the only thing. I think it's kind of like life, you know. Art is like life. You want to use your intuition as you go along. So, and also don't feel overwhelmed. It's just art. We can redo it again. Don't worry if you made a mistake. Look at the difference from this and this one. I feel like I don't have enough space here. See, it's not perfect. And it's okay. I'm okay with that. All right, this one, I'm going to add it here. But next time, I'll be more mindful because I made this mistake. So next time I'm like, I'm going to be more careful with that. All right. Leah recommend a good book to practice the lettering. Oh my goodness. I created a hand lettering workbook for Faber-Castell. I'm not sure if it's available at Michael's already, but we have two different workbooks that I created. One is for balance lettering, and the other is for, it's called the Galaxy lettering. But what it is, it's just a different type of lettering using some Galaxy colors. Let me see if I can pull out the cover while you guys are working there. Let me see. It has some sample letters and some explanation, also with a thin and thick. Right. What happens if your marker dries out? Oh man, you're going to have to get a new one. So this one is the Galaxy lettering. It has some worksheets. It just says Galaxy, but there's no such thing as a Galaxy lettering. We're just doing, some fun brush alpha lettering in here and some bubble lettering as well. But you have some colors of beautiful Galaxy colors in there. This one is the bounce lettering. This is the brush lettering. You get, brush pens like what I used earlier, the Faber-Castell, the Gold Faber Aqua markers. And it has 40 pages of instructions, really, really good for beginners because there's some practice strokes in here, and then practice letters, words, and quotes as well that you can work on and practice. So it's really, really fun. All right. So this time, upstroke, I'm not going to worry about that. We'll worry about that later. All right. I've heard some people says that if your marker dries out, kind of like dip it in water. Now, I don't know. Please don't quote me on that. I've never tried it. It's just, I just get new markers when they're all dried out. Yeah. All right. So here, this is upstroke. This is my downstroke. So I feel like I'm going to add my extra stroke here on the outside. Just like here. What I love about the faux calligraphy is that you can adjust. I mean, not a whole lot, but there's room for adjustment. Does that make sense? And again, one thing that I can recommend really is use a pen and pencil first, because if you have, let's say you've written Happy New Year and you're not happy with the letter E, then you can make adjustments first. Because if you've used the marker like what we did today, then you're kind of like stuck in there. All you adjustment that you can create is kind of like maybe add an extra thickness of width. Now there's kind of like, some negative with that too, because then you're not going to have even thickness in each letter, but at least a little bit of adjustment. You have some extra space in there. Then we add some extra thickness in here. Oh, that's why this one is a dried out. Let me use this one. The only mistake that you can do with faux lettering is the spacing. and then how much thickness you're going to add, which is a really good segue because I feel like I have added too much thickness in my letter N. But you know what? We're just gonna embrace it. We're okay with that. Okay, maybe not. Maybe I'll add a little bit of thickness here just to kind of like balance it out. Here we go. And this is one of those adjustment period. So you kind of adjust a little bit as you go along. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, just use a different color. I think it's going to be fun. It's almost like fireworks. You have different metallic markers in there, different colors. With my letter E, I added the extra thickness to the left side. So this one's upstroke, and so that's my downstroke. This one's upstroke. Now this one is my downstroke. I feel like I have to adjust both sides of this letter W. So I'm adding very small adjustments on both left and right side of my stroke. So that's another thing that we talked about, kind of like with the intuition, so sometimes you just can't add in just one side because it's just not doable. I feel like I'm not going to have enough space on the left, or I'm not even going to have enough space on the right too. So what you need to do is just kind of like make adjustments, add small area at a time. All right, we'll fix that later. Now, this is my downstroke here. For example, this is a very good example here. I feel like I can adjust it. This is one of those adjustments that's important because I feel like my letter Y is a bit wonky. Now, how can I fix this? So I'm going to adjust this where I'm going to add a little bit here because I can see my letter. And so I know where to add weight to kind of adjust this look. So I'm just adding on that, and it goes thinner as it goes connect to this, right? So I kind of adjusted my letter because it was looking a little bit wonky. Now I'll go up, and then this one is my downstroke. So we have enough space here on the right, so we're just going to add it here. And notice also how I'm adding my stroke, especially with the bigger letters. Maybe you didn't write it so big that you don't have this problem, but my letter is so big that if I would try to do this in one stroke, I know I am going to, ruin this piece, and it's going to be a disaster. So I'm just adding it very little at a time until I reach this side, and then it connects to that one. And then we're just going to fill this part in. Happy New Year. So to everyone celebrating this Christmas, are you guys excited? I know my kids are excited. I have a lot of to do, so I'm kind of like mixed. I am excited and also kind of like, there's still so much to do. Now with this one, my letter E, I know that if I added the extra width to the left, I am not going to have enough space in between my letter Y and letter E. Here we go. Ready to get out of school. Oh, Nikki said that Christmas came early. That's fun. Christmas is kind of like, to me, I always get very emotional during Christmas time because my family is abroad. So my parents are abroad. So Christmas is the holidays is, it's happy time because of course my kids, but also I get a little emotional because the rest of my family are abroad, and it's always I'm missing them during the holidays. So, it's fun to be a kid thinking about all our gifts and all that. But never forget the true meaning of Christmas, okay? So here we go. We're going to go up. I'm just fixing that. And this one is this one is a little tricky here, this part of the letter R, because this part right here, the top part, that's a downstroke. So we want to add just a little bit to make it just slightly thicker. See how I did that? So very little. Now, maybe you've written your or drawn your letter R differently, but I just added kind of like an extra thickness to the top and then just did that. And then do it like this. And then add thickness right here. Just like that. All right, so I feel like we've done everything for the letters. Now, if you feel like there's some areas where the thin is too thin, then this is the perfect time to make adjustments. And then also, remember what I did with my beginning stroke and my last part of my letter. I'm trying to find where the silver, here's the silver in front of me. Oh my goodness. So I'm going to add a little bit of thickness there and a little bit of thickness there. Okay, so I'm going to go here like that. There. And then I'm also going to add some thickness in kind of like the tail or the flourish of each letter. But to do that, I'm going to exaggerate it a little bit. So I'm going to make it a bit longer so we can add some curl here. It's just like that. And then I'm going to add an extra thickness there. Just like that. All right. So I'm going to do the same with my letter P. And then just like that. And then do the same with this letter P. And notice how I added the extra width onto the left side. Fix this one right here. Like that, all right? And I'll do that over here to my letter Y. I'm just going to follow this and then add my thickness there. There we go. All right. And I'll do my letter, my new year, my gold one. Like this. And then I'll do this same to my letter N. And then add the extra thickness to the left. It's like that. And I think I'm going to do it to my letter W also. So I just added that thickness to the top. And do that. And then I'm going to fix this one here because that was kind of looking a bit funky. Just like that. So when we're doing faux calligraphy, it takes a bit patience, you know? So I feel like there's pros and cons. Now, brush lettering, the brush pens are a bit tricky, you know, but it's much faster. Does that make sense? It's faster because once you understand when to apply the pressure, then you get that thickness. But again, it is tricky. So when you're doing the faux calligraphy, the more you do it, then the more you don't have to think about where to apply the thickness anymore, because you're kind of like, okay, this is where I did my, downstroke, then you know where to add that thickness. Now, the thing to avoid is to just add thickness or weight, whichever you like. Now, that's not going to look good. It's almost like a different type of lettering now when you do that. But that's the beauty also of art, is that you can do whatever. It's like it's your art. If you feel like you just want to make your letters thicker and bolder, by all means do it. But do it, please. Have fun. So rules are it's fun, but sometimes they're boring too. So, but I think once you understand the basic, then you can play around, then you can break the rules, then you can create your own, and choose other style that you like. Right, so we have Happy New Year. I'm just going to fix my letter H here. I'm not super ecstatic about that, so I'm just fixing some of my strokes. So just by just going over them, just be careful, because this is the part where I can easily ruin a perfectly written sentiment by just going over. I said, I'm just going to go over the lines to make it a bit thicker. Then I kind of like not pay attention and not taking my time. So you just easily can ruin it. So just please take your time, be patient. This is the fun part, to add some details in the background. I like to call it as like embellishments. Now I am a star person. I love adding stars. If you look at my lettering, I have stars in there. I have that's my favorite. Now you can also add some fireworks, so you can, let's say, improve your handwriting. So fireworks is just like this. So you can add like diagonal lines and dots like this. See, to add kind of like just like that. You can also add some stars in between them. This is fun to add in there. So even if you want to do like this, almost like a spiral, that's a good one too. Like that. I feel like that's what I want to add, like curlies. Let's try that. Michelle, thank you so kindly. Thank you so very much. I ruined a little bit of that letter Y, but I'm going to add some of that kind of like spiral. I think I'm going to add some thick teardrops, just like this, like this. I'm going to fill it in. I feel like it's going to match my letters a bit better. Now, remember to be patient with yourself. I know it sounds cheesy when I say this, but it is the honest truth, is that especially when you're trying to learn something new, or you're trying to have fun, don't forget that part. You're doing this to have fun, right? So if it didn't turn out so perfect, it's okay. We can do it again. As long as you have a new page in the book, then you can try it again. If you don't have any more page, then, we can just get a new notebook again and then try again. And then eventually, the more you do it, the more try you do, the more better you get, because that is the actual truth, is that the more you do things, it gets better. It doesn't, I always say practice doesn't make perfect, because I have been doing this for a very long time, and I have pieces where I just want to tear that page and just kind of like throw it in the trash, because there are days like that, and it's okay and it's normal. So be kind. Don't forget why you're doing it in the first place is you're having fun, and I see some families doing this together. My daughter and I love to practice our lettering together, both digitally and analog with, digital tablets, and then also with my markers and my pens. We love it. It's kind of like a bonding moment. And so don't forget to have fun, lots and lots of fun, because life is fleeting, my friend. Try and enjoy it. Try to create more fun art like this. So 2024 is just right around the corner. If hand lettering is a skill that you want to dive into and really it's so fun. I have started my hand lettering journey 11, 12 years ago. I was oldest my daughter 13 now. So yeah, 11, 12 years ago. And I do not regret it, not one little bit. It has changed my life so much. So I hope that, art brings you the same joy it does to me. And you being here today says a whole lot. We both enjoy the same thing, creating and just having fun. So thank you for being here today. What a great honor. So to me, this is just the fun part. You can fill this whole page with like little spirals like this, or little, teardrops and all that. I don't think you're going to make a mistake. You're just having fun here. So just keep creating. But I hope that this was very informative and inspiring, because I understand that sometimes there's like we're just loaded with information, and that's what I don't want to do in my classes. I don't want to bombard you with just info, words, and technicalities. I want to show you how you can actually do it, and then leave the class with feeling like I get it. I get it. I'm going to practice. And that's, I hope you're leaving with that feeling today. So thank you so much, everybody. Happy birthday, Taha. Thank you so much. Merry Christmas to everyone that's celebrating. Merry Christmas. I wish that you and your family a great holiday season. I will not see you until next year. So this is what I said last week, but I get to say it again. So I will not see you until next year, 2024. I wish you guys all the very best. I wish you a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Until next year, stay creative and stay happy. Bye, everybody.